And we're back, Stripe Show podcast on a Wednesday. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Thank you for making us part of your day. Froggy, once again, is out on vacation, so you're stuck with me, but you're not going to want to miss this one. Special one here as we go straight to East Lake Tour Championship. And one of the top trainers in the game is joining me from East Lake, Dr. Troy Van Beezen. How you doing, Troy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Trav?
I'm good. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy, and this is going to be fun. I got to know your name with a lot of the great work that you've been doing with the number one player right now in the FedEx, Scottie Scheffler. But I understand you've got a couple others in the field as well.
Yeah, this is obviously our last week out here. It's been a long grind, and it's always great for my guys to get to the end. So this week we got Scottie, Justin Thomas, and Jordan Spieth.
Wow. Now, how long? Give my audience a little bit of background about you, Troy, and just how you got started with this. I see your hat there, Golf Forever. You got a product out there. We'll get to that here in a second, but just give my audience a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is my 20th out here on the PJ Tour. So been out for a long time. Originally from Canada, played college hockey, played professional hockey, finished my career overseas in Europe. I did a few years in play hockey in Europe, and then decided I needed to get a real job and moved to Dallas, Texas. Moved to chiropractic school, became a doctor of chiropractic, and started a practice in Dallas. And so that's been 25 years. I think for me, I've always wanted to be this, that sport medicine doc, and my place now is kind of like the go-to place for junior athletes, college athletes. So, and then I think the golf kind of fell into my lap. I was doing more hockey. Like, I'm still with the Dallas hockey team. Hockey players play golf, and they play golf with the guys in the summer, and my name gets thrown around, and started seeing a lot of golfers. And I spent 9 years on the PJ Tour trailer, the medical trailer, through recommendation through Harrison Fraser, who I started working with way back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I've been about 8 years in, and then the last 10 to 12 years, a bunch of guys pulled me off the trailer, and I'm exclusively with them. And I'm on the road about 28 weeks a year with the players, Monday through Sunday. So they're long weeks. So I'm glad we're in Atlanta, and I'm glad the season's almost over.
Wow. So you're out there Monday. You're out there 7 days with these guys. Give my audience a feel how your day looks. Like, I know we were texting this morning. You were warming the guys up. They go play. Do you do post round? Like, give us the whole layout here of how your day works with the player.
Yeah, I think kind of 10,000 feet above, the biggest thing is, Monday's usually a travel day. So we get to the course, we get situated. Obviously this is a pretty important week for everybody. So we actually did some treatments Monday once we got organized. And then this afternoon, I warmed the guys up this morning. This afternoon, I'll do a couple more treatments. I'll actually train Scottie in the gym. And then Tuesday is probably another training day. And then basically, it's it's Wednesday. Pre-round, we do warm-ups, treatments, and then post-rounds, we'll do post-round stuff. So we'll do either, like a full body flush, or we'll do a workout, or we'll do a stretch, or whatever the guys need, and recovery-based. And depending on where we are, cryotherapy, Normatec boots, whatever else is out there to keep these guys fresh and ready and prepared to compete at a high level.
Talk about your relationship with Scottie Scheffler, who right now is number one. He's really emerged onto the scene. What a season he has had. And I've got some videos here of some things that you were doing I'll bring up momentarily. But, Scottie you, Troy, like before he met you, was he into the fitness regimen to the level that he is now, or have you educated him and now he's really bought into what you've been able to provide for him?
Well, the history with me and Scottie, I actually started work with him when he was 14 years old. So we have a lot of history. The reason I started working with Scottie was he started having some back issues as a junior golfer. And so he was more so coming into the clinic for treatment. And then, I kind of took care of him during junior golf. And then when he went off to Texas, he people don't know this. Scottie grew really tall, really fast, and it put a lot of stress on the back. His game kind of went sideways for a little bit. So I spent a lot of time talking with Randy Smith and things we need to get Scottie back on track with. So it's been a great team effort. And I think one time I can remember second year at Texas, his back was so bad he had to pull out of a tournament, and he basically drove up from Austin to see me in Dallas. And at that point, we all made a decision it's time for him to do stuff off the golf course more seriously if he wanted to continue playing golf at a high level. I think one of the things that that triggered Scottie was he couldn't play golf, right? And that's kind of a motivation for a lot of guys. They'll kind of think the pain's going to go away, and the weekend warrior and the guys that we golf with all the time. And once the pain doesn't allow them to play golf, that's a big motivator to find out what's going on and get it fixed. So, and that's kind of when things started. We set up a training program, talked a lot with John Fields, the trainer with the University of Texas, and put a program specific for Scottie to make sure he stays healthy. And we've kind of taken that to a whole level. Like, he's not a gym rat, but he knows he has to get in the gym. He knows he has to train. He knows he has to take care of his body, play at a high level, and compete against the guys that are out here.
What's the most important thing for protection of the back? We hear it all the time, back injuries. And I know there's a lot of things that can cause back injuries, and I don't want to have you whittle it down to like, well, this is the number one thing that we see. But, when you just look at like taking care of yourself and these players who play a lot of golf, I've got a lot of people listening, a lot of collegiate players, junior players, they start getting back issues. What do you have to start looking for? I mean, what are the things that have to take that you have to kind of take care of? Is it a combination of some pre-round and post-round things, starting at an early age with Scottie Scheffler to start protecting that back?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for people to understand is, especially as a golfer, it's a lot of rotary stress on the spine, right? The golf swing is just not good for your back. We all know that. So how do you protect it? I went through the same thing with Jordan Spieth. Jordan came in to see me when he was 15 and hurt his back at 15. So that's about it at 14 to 16 years old is usually when I see the junior golfers having issues. They're out there grinding and hitting a lot of balls. And I think what people need to understand is the golf swing is very repetitive, one-sided movement. It creates a lot of imbalances and what I call asymmetries in the body. And once you get imbalanced or asymmetrical between the right and left side of your body, then a lot of compensations happen. And we know it just as back pain. So number two, make sure the hips have good mobility. Number three, make sure the hips have good stability. And, what people don't understand is all your rotation occurs in the hips and in your mid-back. And you lose those functions of the mid-back and the hips of rotating, the low back takes the hit, and the low back is not made for rotating. And then all that rotary stress happens in the low back, and that's when the back overworks and starts having some pain.
Let's pull up something here. Here's Scottie. I saw you you posted this on your Instagram. Let me see if I can get this thing. There we go. There's Scottie. Now, what is he holding, and what is he up against there? What are we looking at here?
So we did this in Scotland during the Scottish Open, getting him prepped. So one thing with Scottie is obviously he's really tall and got some long levers. And so a couple of things we do with long flight. I always try to instill that, again, what we just talked about, making sure those hips rotate, making sure the T-spine rotates. But one of the things when I was talking to Randy was Scottie was coming out of posture during his backswing. And so the way I did develop this, I got the Swiss ball in his butt. I wanted him rotating into the ball to feel that tactile feeling to keep that hip connected to the ball, which more or less kind of keep him in posture. And then he's holding on to the swing trainer as an apparatus to help him basically rotate around the hip. And then obviously you can see I have him looking down and not having him, turn his head while he's rotating to the right. So this is a big thing we work on him all the time. Like I said, he does get pretty tight up between the shoulder blades and the hips, and so this is a constant battle we deal with. And Travis, you'll understand this. Some of the golf instructors who listen, we've been doing this since junior golf. Is when he makes the turn, if he loses the ability to turn his hips and lose the ability to turn his mid back, Scottie gets a reverse spine angle, and so that puts a lot of stress on the back. And then for him to get to the ball, he's got to back out of it to make contact, and then he hangs back, and that puts more stress on his low back. So there are some offending movements in his golf swing that we've over the years have quieted down more so. But I really try to do simulation exercises in the gym, what I call a controlled environment, to be able to perform the movements. Whoops, sorry about that. Perform those movements on the golf course. So it's just a constant neuromotor pattern that he has to consistently keep learning. As weird as that, the number one player in the golfer or in the world, and we do some of the simplest things behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, I look at this and the ball behind his hip. I would imagine that as he's doing this and he's engaged in that, like he's getting more of that change in knee flex and he's turned deeper into that right side, right? Just by sensing that. And that's all good stuff for him in the mobility of his hip and the backswing. So he doesn't get reversed in the spine, which is interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. And that's something that you're obviously working.
And
that's something. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's a big thing we do with Scottie is getting that hip into that right ball or into the ball just to create seeing that right hip, because he does come out sometimes in reverse spin angle. So like I said, it's just one player in the world doing this, but I just got to go back to basics.
How about this one here? I'm going to put up. Check this out.
Sure.
All right, now we've got this same little tool, and he's like pulling it.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got a band. Look at that.
So again, we.
So let me set this up
so
for
what we do here.
Listening here real quick. So for my audience, because a lot of them are watching on YouTube, but now for those listening, he's got this stretch band between his ankles that you would have, and of course when you pull your feet apart, like that's going to make your glute activate. But he's also holding on to this bar with his hands, and he's making a turn into his left side. And I would imagine everything that he does, he probably does both sides as well.
We do, and one of the cool things with the Golf Forever swing trainer, which is what he has in his hands, it's a unilateral tension, right? So sometimes if there are imbalances with Scottie, which we notice quite a bit with a lot of players, we'll do more one side than the other to basically get that back to more symmetrical, more balanced position. But right now you can see him going on the left. And this big thing with him was, like you said, engaging the hips, loading those hips, and then, turning through the hips being loaded. And you can see one of the coaching things I do with Scottie at the top there, you see the spine is in the same line as the right leg is. See that? We don't want that back. So one of the cues with him is, because he'll do that and then he'll lean towards, the opposite way and get that reverse spine angle. So
I see.
And it's just engaging. It's kind of like what we call pelvic torso separation, stabilize that pelvis, and then rotate around that pelvis. Yep.
So when you pull your feet apart with that band, and everybody that's been in a gym has done that, I always think of Orange Theory. You're doing that, and in about 30 seconds, your hips are about ready to explode, right? So like the hips are engaged.
Yep. So it's kind of like it's a follow-up. It's a follow-up exercise. With the previous one I showed you to this one, now this one is getting off of that right side that we've loaded and using a band as another tool to make sure he gets that feel of the glutes, activating.
All right, now let's go to this one here. And now he's got this one. He's going to be holding on to. There he goes, loading in here. 1 second. There we go. So now he's holding on to two handles with these cables on it, and he's pulling that right side back and kind of really opening up, looks like the spine and the hip.
Yeah, same type of thought process, but this time we're loading the left. So you can see as he's going in this still picture here, we got the left hip internal rotation, the right hip and external rotation, and we're rotating the T-spine around both those hips with some tension because of the bands. And then as he kind of turns to the left, he loads and he pushes off that left side and rotates into the right. Yep, there you see it. So it's a very good. Again, I'm so big on simulated movements in the gym under controlled environment to reset the movement patterns we want to see that are on the golf course.
Yeah, so this I would imagine.
That was a long sentence.
No, it does. It does. And you can imagine, based off what you said earlier, that he may tend to get a little reversed. So this here, pushing off that left side, like that, I would imagine watching this left heel come up a little bit, kind of gets everything into that right side. And again, confirming that I'm over here to the right. Now I can go back to the left versus, maybe hanging left. And then, good things don't happen from there, right? I mean, I would imagine like when you start hanging left in the backswing, then I would imagine for these guys, things start to get a little more complicated. They're good enough where they can make it work. But would you agree that like, when Scottie is kind of got himself in a reasonable position at the top, like his chances are pretty good. Like he's going to go find the golf ball from there.
Yeah, and so if you watch him swing the club, and this is something Randy and I talk about a lot, if I can get him to load the right side, get him to turn and get that left shoulder under that chin, he can set that club, and then he's really good at that. Now, if he doesn't load the right side, he reverse spine angles, that shoulder doesn't get under the chin. Now he's got to back out of it and either block left or split, spray it right. So that's for me. I'm not a golf instructor, and I don't teach golf swing, but I understand how the body moves in the golf swing. And so I know for him, when he gets into certain positions, by learning with Randy as coach, then I know that he's in a position, and then basically he can, and he's, for a long hitter, I think he's pretty good for average for fairways hit. I think he's like 60% for somebody who's 310, 12 off the tee. So that's a good percentage.
He's elite when you start blending distance and accuracy. And what's interesting is a lot of the things that we're talking about, it's like, how do those things start merging together? We're talking about it right now. I mean, these things, a lot of this obviously taking care of the body, but a lot of this getting in a reasonable backswing position sets the stage for good things to happen. And that's what drives me nuts, doctors, when I hear, the backswing don't matter. All it matters is impact. Not the case. I talk to a lot of top people in the industry like you, and I hear a lot of backswing talk, and like, this is the key. And when they get here, get out of the way. He's going to go find it, because they're that good.
Yeah, it's I look at the golf swing as a mirror image, right? What happens in your downswing impact is basically what happens in the backswing. It is what it is, right? And you're right. I've talked to so many pretty high level golf coaches. They're like, backswing doesn't matter. It's just all impact. And I'm like, okay.
Right. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the conversations I have, I'm telling you, and I don't steer it one way or the other. I'm just listening to you and other teachers and fitness people that like, I mean, these things matter in the backswing for these guys. What is he doing here? Now he's like pushing up off the ground and exploding the left knee up and taking this cable. And looks like he's extending it up over his left shoulder.
Yeah. So one of the things we do here with Scottie is, as we all know, during the golf swing, once you pull the trigger, you're never on both feet independent of each other with the same weight, right? So this is a lot of balance. This is another way for him. It's basically what it is. It's a curtsy squat with a cable press, cable pull. And so with a curtsy squat, you can see he's loading the right hip even more internal hip rotation. And then he's driving that right hip up and creating vertical force, right? The two I showed you were more frontal plane force. Now this is vertical, this is upright, right? So allowing his right hip to generate some power, using his feet, pushing the foot in the ground, get that ground reactive force, and then generating the power up with his upper body. So it's teaching him to generate power from the ground up with a single leg, if that makes sense.
So this bar that he has right here on this next one, that is the Golf Forever Swing Trainer. Is that right?
Yep. This is something that we've incorporated into his routine daily since late last year. And so this is more now this is a different one. We're into the sagittal plane, right? So we're engaging the core going from backwards to forwards. But before we do that, we're opening up the T-spine with rotation, press, getting the shoulders to open up, and then engaging that core as each, again, single load vertical force, again, up on the left side.
How much stronger has Scottie gotten, say, in the last 2 years?
So much stronger. It's been awesome. Like, you know how it always is in any sport, any business. If you become successful, you buy into the system, right? So we just really hit it hard about 2 years ago in the gym, and obviously his rise to where he is now, it's been successful. So he bought into this, and so, and again, knock on wood, we've had no back issues in 2 years.
Wow.
And it's been cool. And the cool thing is he trains with Ryan Palmer at home in Dallas, and Ryan's 46 years old, and it's kind of fun to watch. We make it fun. They push each other, so it makes the training not so monotonous throughout the year.
Where do people find this swing trainer, Golf Forever swing trainer? Tell us about that.
It's awesome. It's been a tool I've been using with my guys since probably the end of last year, and you can travel with it. So guys use it in a hotel room, they use it wherever. It's easy to use. And what I like about it, I always look at an exercise or a tool as getting the most benefit with the least risk for injury. And so this thing, it helps you with core strength, mobility, stability, flexibility, and it's asymmetrical, right? So what I mean by that is it's basically challenging you asymmetrically. So if there is an imbalance in your body, or one side's weaker, or the left hip is weaker, right hip is weaker, we can load that side more during a training routine to get those imbalances to match up and become more balanced.
Wow, it's good stuff. You look ahead, Scottie's obviously he's on top of the world right now. See if he can finish this thing off and win the FedEx Cup. But as you look ahead and you look at now his runway moving forward, is there a particular area that you feel like, hey, this is the most important area moving forward? Or is it just kind of the collective, everything you've been doing is in place now, we just got to keep turning the wheels, and he's got to stay committed and dedicated to the whole process?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think he's just got to stay committed and dedicated to what we've been doing. And this in golf, you have to believe in what you're doing is the right thing that you do, right? And so he's great up the tee. He's a good putter. Number one iron player in the PGA Tour right now. So his game's there. This is obviously the first time he's going to be under, I guess, the big spotlight. Number one in the world, number one in FedEx, and all eyes are going to be on him. So hopefully he can perform under pressure and come out on top.
Great stuff. Dr. Troy Van Beason, go follow him on Instagram, or I'm going to say this, Chirosport TVB, ChiroSportTVB. That's where he is on Instagram. 20 years in the tour, teaching the best. Scottie Scheffler, number one right now in the FedEx. So congratulations. I know you're busy there in the locker room, Eddie's and I appreciate you jumping on. And for my audience, yeah, this Golf Forever swing trainer, go check it out. And I've got one on the way as well. And it's amazing, like what people will do, right, for Troy, for their golf game. I always tell the joke, like, the person, I know I need to get in the gym and get in better shape. I'll just feel better in my everyday health. But then you say, hey, why don't you get in the gym and you'll actually play better golf? Like, I'm in. Like, they'll do anything for their golf game, right? For your everyday health, it's like, I know, I'll get for your golf game. Sign me up tomorrow, because I'm in there for another 10 yards.
Yeah, 100%. And as we get older, here's the biggest thing in the older age group, because I take care of a lot of people in the clinic in Dallas still, is, people sit on a plane, sit in the office, sit in the car, they lose their flexibility, lose their mobility, and then they go in the tee box and they wonder why they can't hit it far anymore, right? So I always say the most important club in the bag is your body. And it amazes me that guys spend time on the range buying balls, buying drivers, but they don't put any time on their body. And that's at a certain age group, you have to do it if you want to continue playing this game. And that's why we call it Golf Forever, right? Is you can play golf forever if you take care of your body. And so that's kind of how we named the company.
Yeah, it's kind of keeping things lengthened out. I make the statement oftentimes where it's like, I lengthen more swings than I shorten up. And yet the perception is, I think, for people, like, well, I need to shorten my swing up. And really 8, 9 out of 10 lessons, I'm lengthening them out. I'm trying to get them to turn the hip more, open the spine up more. And this is certainly going to allow them to lengthen out, which is going to add longevity to their game. And, oh, by the way, you're probably going to hit it a little longer and a little straighter too with the tee shot, just like Scottie.
Yeah, the cool thing, and you're 100% correct, the cool thing is the feedback we've gotten from the swing trainer has been amazing. Guys playing without pain, hitting it further, playing golf more often. And it's interesting. We're at the Open Championship, and I put the swing trainer in the gym they provided us. I counted 23 players picking up and using during the Open Championship. And I think golfers are a little bit of a different breed. When somebody's successful, they want to copy what they're doing. So now you have Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Ryan Palmer, and all these guys picking up this thing and using it because it's convenient, it's effective, it won't hurt you, it's actually going to help you. And so that's it's been kind of cool to watch how this evolved over the last few months.
Great stuff. I won't take any more of your time. I really appreciate you jumping on. Dr. Troy Van Beason, go check out this Golf Forever swing trainer. Follow him on Instagram. Best of luck this week at East Lake.
Great. I appreciate it, Travis.
Thank you.